Hey guys, how's it going? It has been so long since I made one of these. I meant to do it. I think I said I was going to do it like as I was shooting viral and everything, and then I don't know, I kind of just focused on actually making the movie. It's all wrapped. If you've been following me on social media, you know I actually did a test screening of it and everything, and that's actually kind of what I wanted to talk about today because that was wild. So I spent all of production writing, or like as I shot, I'd also edit the scene so I'd be all caught up, so I had less work to do when the final, or when we wrap photography. And that seemed to be a really good way to work. I edit scenes, I'd send them out for approval and get back, but I didn't really know if it worked until I had the full cut together. And it was also really interesting because the first time I watched it, I had spent so much time working on like just isolated bits that when I put it all together at the end, I didn't really know if it worked as one big whole. And a really good way to figure out if your movie works is to show it to other people. So I decided to hold a test screening. For those of you who don't know what a test screening is, a lot of big movies will do these where they'll show an unfinished cut to a large group of widely different people to get as many different opinions as they can to test out whether the movie works or not. And this can sometimes either make a movie like Empire Strikes Back, or it can break a movie like Suicide Squad. But it is a really important part of the process because you really won't know if your movie works until you show it to other people. So I held a screening on campus here for a group of my friends, and a lot of them weren't really film majors too, so it was really nice to see if it worked from just like a general audience perspective. And I definitely learned a couple things for next time I do one of these because for starters, I didn't show my most up-to-date cut. So I've been working and I was kind of making two cuts at once. When I edit every scene, I cut it up and then make an assembly cut, which is just kind of all my footage cobbled together. And that's the rough cut, which I kind of left unchanged. And then I go back and I tweak it even further to get it more to my liking, and then that's my like director's cut, so to speak. And I elected to show the assembly cut instead of the editor's cut for one reason. There was just like less work to do to put it together. It was basically just cutting the footage together. There's my cut, nothing really fancy. But, and then I think I also thought I was being kind of smart. You know, I was, when I would show it to people, I'd get a bunch of notes that I'd already like made changes to with the current edit. So I was I was trying to like kind of be ahead of the curve, you know? And that really maybe wasn't the best course of action when you want to get feedback from someone. Yeah, the days leading up to the test screening, I had a bunch of wild different interactions. I was working with my RSO group here, Film Society, to put that together. I made a little flyer for the test screening. To my knowledge, I knew I was holding it on November 30th, but I didn't know which room I was holding it in. So I sent a flyer out to a couple friends, and it was on November 30th in either this room or this room. The room wasn't confirmed yet. And I got a message from our president telling me actually there's a 7 to 10 business day policy that we weren't aware of, so we can't get you in earlier than the 6th. So I was like, okay. I had to make an entirely new flyer, and I made it for December 6th. What I didn't realize when I sent the second flyer is that December 6th is a Monday, and I have a class that coincides with the test screening, so I couldn't do that. And at that point, I kind of lost all my energy, so I kind of just sent another text and said, actually, it's on the 7th, not the 6th. And then I got another message a couple hours later going, actually, it turns out we got the 30th, no problem. So I had to make an entirely new flyer and send it out to people, and by that point, I thought people were just getting sick of me. So I spent the entire weekend kind of stressing about whether anyone would come, and on top of that, I had rewatched it, and I had put together a temp score, which is just music it's placeholder music to show where music is going to be and try to just invoke the mood. And I had a terrible time. It was not fun to watch. So being in it, like, you know, showing your movie to, like, watching your unfinished movie is one thing. Showing your unfinished movie to someone else is another thing. Being in a room full of people watching your unfinished movie, that's something completely different. I was not prepared for it at all. So I was really dreading it, and when the day came, I got in the test screening room, and actually quite a few people showed up. A lot of my friends from Film Society, a lot of my friends from school, and they all had a good time. I, meanwhile, was wanting to leave the room every 5 minutes. I kind of learned, I think I've since learned that the problem really was the cut I elected to show. I should have shown the most up-to-date version. I would have spared myself a lot of anxiety. But thankfully, for the most part, people seemed pretty positive about it based on an unfinished version of the movie. So that was definitely kind of an ego booster. The problem came when I started reading some of the reviews. I made a little questionnaire. It was just questions like, how would you rate it? What would you describe, or how would you describe the movie? Would you recommend it to a friend? Would you watch it again when it's done? Things like that. And there were a couple people that seemed to either contradict themselves, or maybe I'd like to believe they were just going so fast through the questionnaire that they just kind of tabbed things at random. Because there were a lot of people who were actually just wanting to talk to me about it too. So I guess that's one good thing I did. No matter how good or bad it was, it got people talking about it. So that was nice. But yeah, I started reading some of those questionnaires, and a lot of people had points about either the ending or this one scene that they said was really awkward. So I kind of spent the night, I was reading those reviews, I was kind of ruminating, because my ending, which you'll see when the movie comes out in a couple of years, my ending, I wanted to leave it kind of ambiguous and open-ended. You know, I really like the idea of trying to give something giving something for people to think about when the movie's done. But a lot of the reviews said that the ending was too abrupt, which was kind of my point. But at the same time, I couldn't tell whether they were saying that because it did its job and they wanted more, or because it legitimately wasn't enough. So I started having to think about, okay, maybe I need to start adding some things. Like, I'll consider it, maybe we'll watch this or work print of mine and see if it still needs it, or if it needs anything more, or whatever. But then as I was talking with some of these people and I told them, yeah, I'm thinking about adding to the ending, the subject came up of the current cut I have, and it turns out that what the ending was missing, that these people didn't see, was some very important effect shots that I had done in the most up-to-date cut. And it turns out that your enjoyment of the ending rides very heavily on whether or not those effect shots are in the movie. So I showed them to people, and all of a sudden their reaction turned into, oh my god, that was perfect. That fixes all of my problems. And I'm kind of left going, huh? So yeah, at the moment I'm not entirely sure whether or not I need to add anything. But I know if I had just shown the cut with the effect shots added into it, I probably could have saved myself a whole day's worth of stress. So yeah, definitely for next time I'm planning on showing my current cut of the movie, or not making any fancy different versions. There are a couple cool things about it. I made it in black and white just to kind of give people a completely new experience when they see the other cut, and everyone seemed to kind of really appreciate that. I even had a couple people tell me it works better in black and white. So that's pretty interesting. It was a good experience. It got a lot of people talking about the movie. Everyone's very excited. It also got me a couple opportunities with some other friends. All that kind of came from an unfinished version of the movie. So I'm really excited to show people the most up-to-date one, and I know a lot of people are super excited. And I'm kind of going to be sending around my work prints of it that I have on my computer right now for feedback for some people. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to give you a link to that and get your thoughts on it. And I might have to hold another test screening in the future, because it certainly is a pretty educational experience. But yeah, thank you for joining me again. I'm so sorry for the delay. I know it's been half a year. But yeah, as I said, I kind of just started to focus on actually making the movie. And I can't wait to talk to you more about that. I wanted to talk more about how I directed it and some of the problems I encountered and how I solved them. I wanted to make another one about the storyboards. I wanted to make one about editing the movie. And whatever else comes to mind, if you have any questions about it, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to address them. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.